Oh, wonderful. Another mandatory research log, because clearly documenting the obvious superiority of my work isn't tedious enough already. But protocol is protocol, and the Council insists on detailed records of all our interactions with them, the humans. Security clearance verified. You may proceed with your report, Dr. Krental, chirps our station's AI with its usual insufferable cheerfulness. Yes, thank you for stating the obvious, I mutter, adjusting my sensor stalks into a more comfortable position. Where to begin? Ah, yes. This is Dr. Krental, lead xenobiologist at GRS-7, though anyone accessing this log should know that already. We're the unfortunate souls tasked with studying the most dangerous beings in known space. I pause to let my primary heart settle into a steadier rhythm. Even after 3 cycles of studying humans, they still make my circulation fluctuate. When humanity first stumbled onto the galactic stage 5 cycles ago, they were immediately classified as a Class 12 Deathworld species. Nobody argued with that classification. One look at their planet's environmental data was enough to send half the Council into shock molt. The holographic display flickers as I pull up Earth statistics. Average temperature variations of over 100 degrees. Atmospheric pressure that would crush most species, gravity that would snap bones, and the radiation levels. I click my mandibles in disbelief, a habit I picked up from my old professor. The radiation levels alone should have sterilized the planet eons ago. But no, humans didn't just survive, they thrived, built civilizations, created art, developed space travel, all while living on a planet that's basically a cosmic horror show. I wave a limb dismissively at the data, which is precisely why the Council stuck us with studying them. Lucky us. Our research station orbits a carefully chosen neutron star, far from any inhabited systems. Can't be too careful with Deathworlders, they said. Need proper containment protocols, they insisted, as if any containment system we design could hold a species that treats radiation as a minor inconvenience. The facility itself is state-of-the-art. I'll grant them that. Quantum-locked laboratories, temporal stasis fields, and enough backup systems to survive a supernova. All to study creatures who voluntarily ingest neurotoxins for pleasure. They call it coffee. I check the time display. Still need to finish this introduction. We've had several human volunteers participate in our research program. Most have been surprisingly cooperative, though their constant questions about our technology are concerning, especially given their species' remarkable talent for turning absolutely anything into a weapon. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This log entry needs to focus on one specific human, and one particular incident that changed everything we thought we knew about their capabilities. Though honestly, at this point, I'm not sure why anything about humans still surprises us. The station's warning klaxon interrupts my recording. Red lights start pulsing along the corridor outside my office. Speaking of surprises, the emergency alert blares through every speaker in the facility. My third stomach clenches as I recognize the pattern. Containment breach in Lab 7. Of course it had to be Lab 7. That's where our newest human volunteer, Tom Cooper, works with Dr. Nazatul on xenobiological compatibility tests. Warning: toxic substance release detected in Laboratory 7. All personnel initiate emergency protocols. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. I rush down the corridor, my appendages clicking rapidly against the polished floor. Other scientists press themselves against the walls as I pass, their tentacles curled in fear. They know what's stored in Lab 7, the Nexus 9 toxin, the deadliest substance known to galactic science. One drop can kill a Kragathi battle beast in seconds. We keep it around to test protective equipment. At least, that's what we tell the Council. Status report, I bark into my comm unit as I approach the containment doors. Sir, Dr. Nazatul's voice quivers. The human, Tom, he was helping me calibrate the testing chamber when the seal failed. The toxin, it sprayed everywhere. He got a full dose, right in the face. My blood runs cold. Quarantine procedures? Already initiated, but sir, he's still alive. What? That's impossible. How long since exposure? 3 minutes, 14 seconds. I skid to a halt outside the observation window. Inside, hazmat-suited medical teams huddle around monitoring equipment, all focused on the human sitting casually on an examination table. Tom Cooper, covered in deadly toxin, is laughing. "Hey, Doc." He waves at me through the glass. "Sorry about the mess. Didn't mean to trigger all your alarms." "You should be dead," I say flatly into the intercom. He shrugs, that infuriating human gesture that means everything and nothing. "Yeah, that's what everyone keeps saying. But I feel fine. Bit of a tingle in my sinuses, maybe. Like eating really spicy food." The medical team's instruments whir and beep. "Vital signs normal," one reports, disbelief evident even through the translator. "Heart rate slightly elevated, but within standard human parameters. No sign of tissue degradation. No neural damage. He's perfectly healthy." "That's not possible," I mutter, pulling up the Nexus 9 data on my pad. "The toxin disrupts cellular bonds at the quantum level. Nothing survives it. Nothing." "Maybe it's defective," Tom suggests helpfully. "Or expired. Does super deadly poison have a shelf life?" "We synthesized it fresh this morning," Dr. Nazatul says weakly. "I watched the containment seal rupture myself. You were directly exposed to enough Nexus 9 to kill every living thing in this facility 10 times over." "Huh." Tom scratches his head, apparently unbothered by this information. "Weird. Want to run some tests? You science folks love your tests." I stare at him through the glass. Here we are, running every emergency protocol in the book, and this human treats it like a minor inconvenience, like getting caught in the rain without an umbrella. "Yes," I say slowly. "We're going to run every test we have, and then we're going to invent new tests, because you, Tom Cooper, should be a puddle of dissolved organic matter right now. Instead, you're treating a Class X toxin like it's... What's that human beverage you're always talking about?" "Hot sauce," he grins. "Yeah, this stuff tastes kind of like ghost peppers. Not bad, actually. Hey, any chance I could get some coffee while we wait?" 3 different scientists faint at that request. I don't blame them. The human just asked for additional toxins after being exposed to the deadliest poison we know of. And he's comparing it to something he voluntarily eats for pleasure. "No coffee," I say firmly. "But you're about to become the most studied human in galactic history. Congratulations." "Cool." Tom's enthusiasm is horrifying. "Will this help with my xenobiology thesis?" I press my primary appendage against my sensory ridge, fighting off a stress headache. "Mr. Cooper, you just survived something that, by every law of science we know, should have turned you into atomic soup. Your thesis is now officially the least interesting thing about you." 12 hours into our observation of Tom Cooper, and our monitoring equipment is working harder than the human is. The lab's atmosphere is thick with tension and confusion as scientists from every department crowd around displays, arguing over data that shouldn't exist. "Perhaps the sensors are malfunctioning," suggests Dr. Pellinar, our quantum biology specialist. His eye stalks are twisted into such tight knots of anxiety that they might never unknot properly. "We've calibrated them 3 times, I snap, watching Tom do push-ups in his containment chamber. Push-ups. The human is not only surviving, he's thriving. His cellular regeneration rate has increased by 47%. "It's using the toxin as a performance enhancer," shrieks Dr. Velkath, nearly dropping her datapad. That's impossible, horrifying, fascinating," I offer. "Welcome to Human Studies, colleague, where the impossible happens hourly." Through the observation window, Tom waves cheerfully. "Hey, docs, any chance we could pipe some music in here? Getting kind of boring just watching you all freak out." Dr. Nazatul, still shaking from the initial incident, activates the intercom. "Mr. Cooper, you do understand that your body is actively metabolizing a substance that dissolves molecular bonds?" "Yeah, about that," Tom stretches casually. "I think it might be fixing my old shoulder injury. The one from college rugby? Feels great now." The collective gasp from the science team almost depressurizes the observation room. I quickly check the readings. He's right. The damaged tissue in his shoulder is showing accelerated healing patterns. "The human immune system," Dr. Kellmarks mutters, furiously taking notes. "It's not just fighting the toxin, it's weaponizing it. Look at these protein structures. They're adapting the Nexus 9 molecular pattern to enhance cellular repair." "But that would require a—" Dr. Pellinar's voice trails off as the implications hit him. "Evolution on a real-time basis," I finish. "Their bodies don't just resist toxins, they learn from them, adapt to them, turn them into advantages." Tom's voice crackles over the intercom again. "Hey, reminds me of this thing that happened to my cousin back on Earth. Got bit by some super-venomous snake while hiking. Doctor said he should have died in minutes, but he just got really tired for a day. Makes great jokes about it at family reunions." The room falls silent. Even the equipment seems to beat more quietly. "Your cousin," Dr. Velkath's voice quivers. "He survived a lethal envenomation and makes jokes about it?" "Oh, sure," Tom beams. "We humans joke about nearly dying all the time. It's like our thing. Speaking of which, when can I get back to work? I've got some fascinating readings from before the containment breach that I'd love to analyze." I watch as my fellow scientists try to process this. A being that not only survives certain death but gets bored by it, wants to study it, makes jokes about it. Dr. Krental, one of the junior researchers, whispers, "The Council classification system only goes up to Class 12 for Deathworld species. What? What do we do when we find something beyond that?" Looking at our readings, at Tom doing casual exercises while bathed in deadly toxins, at the way his cells are turning certain death into enhanced healing, I realize we need an entirely new classification system. "Update the report," I say finally. "Note that human biology appears to operate on principles we previously considered theoretical. They don't just survive environmental hazards, they adapt to them, integrate them. And most worryingly—" I pause, watching Tom start a set of jumping jacks. "They get bored by them." "Should we alert the Council?" Dr. Nazatul asks. "Oh, we're going to do more than alert them," I say, noting how the Nexus 9 particles are being completely rewritten by Tom's immune system. "We're going to strongly suggest they reconsider every assumption we've made about human capabilities. Because right now, that human is turning the deadliest substance we know into what appears to be a medical treatment, and he's complaining about being bored while doing it." Through the glass, Tom gives us a thumbs up. "Hey, anyone else hungry? I could really go for some of that super spicy Zentarian curry from the cafeteria." I watch 3 more scientists faint. Somehow, I remain standing. Barely. 48 hours into what we're now calling the Cooper incident, and our research station has turned into a circus of scientific inquiry. Teams of xenobiologists huddle around displays arguing over data points. Biochemists run simulation after simulation, each more improbable than the last. 3 quantum physicists have locked themselves in a storage closet, muttering about rewriting the laws of biology. "Another simulation complete, Dr. Krental," announces Dr. Pelnar. His eye stalks now permanently twisted from stress. "We compared Mr. Cooper's reaction to every recorded toxic exposure in galactic history." I review the results, my mandibles clicking rapidly. "Show me the comparison charts." The holographic display fills with data streams, species after species, all exposed to various levels of Nexus 9. The results are always the same. Complete cellular breakdown within seconds. Even protective gear only delays the inevitable. "Now watch the human cells," Dr. Pelnar says, pulling up Tom's data. The simulation plays out in vibrant detail. Nexus 9 molecules attack the human cells, trying to break their bonds. But instead of dissolving, the cells respond. They don't just resist, they engage, like watching a microscopic war where one side keeps stealing the other's weapons. "Fascinating," Dr. Velkath whispers, all 6 of her eyes wide. "The human cellular structure doesn't just have one defense mechanism,
It has layers. If one fails, another activates. If that fails, it creates new ones.
And look here, I point to a particularly interesting reaction. The mitochondrial response. They're not just defending, they're learning, adapting. Every failed attack by the toxin makes them stronger. Through the observation window, Tom sits cross-legged on his bed, reading something on a datapad we provided. He looks up occasionally to wave at the growing crowd of scientists, seemingly amused by all the attention. "Dr. Krentel," a nervous voice pipes up, one of our junior researchers barely out of the academy. "We found something in the historical archives about Earth."
"What about it?"
"Well, it seems the planet has experienced at least 5 mass extinction events. Everything nearly died, multiple times, but each time life came back stronger, more diverse, more resilient." The implications hit me like a gravity wave. They're not just adapted to their death world. They're the product of multiple apocalypses, survivors of survivors of survivors. "Hey, Docs," Tom's voice comes through the intercom. "Not to interrupt all the serious science stuff, but I think something cool is happening. My cuts from last week's rock climbing accident, they're gone, like completely healed." Dr. Nuzatul nearly drops her equipment. "The toxin. It's not just being neutralized. The human body is repurposing it, using its molecular restructuring properties for beneficial purposes." I checked the latest scans. She's right. Tom's body isn't just surviving the Nexus 9, it's treating it like raw material, building something new with it. "Update the report," I tell my team. "Note that human biological adaptability exceeds all known parameters. Their cellular response to threats appears to be creative." "Creative?" Dr. Pelinar's voice squeaks. "That's not a scientific term." "Neither is anything else about this situation," I retort. "We're watching a human turn a weapon of mass destruction into a healing agent. Creative is the most accurate term I can think of." The station's AI interrupts with new data. "Analysis complete, comparing Mr. Cooper's current cellular structure to baseline human readings." We all watch as the numbers scroll past. Enhanced regeneration, improved neural conductivity, strengthened immune response. The Nexus 9 exposure hasn't just failed to kill him, it's upgraded him. "Dr. Krental," Dr. Velkath says quietly, "remember how humans discovered faster-than-light travel?" "Yes. They found an ancient warning beacon and thought it was a challenge to solve the equations inside." "And how they colonized their first toxic world?" "By treating the atmospheric poison as a potential resource." "Yes, what's your point?" She gestures at Tom, who's now doing a handstand just because he can. "What if this isn't just about survival? What if humans don't just endure threats? They see them as opportunities?" The room falls silent as this sinks in. A species that doesn't just overcome obstacles, but actively seeks them out, treats warnings as challenges, sees deadly toxins as potential tools. "Tom," I activate the intercom. "How are you feeling?" "Pretty great, actually. Whatever that stuff was, once my body figured out how to break it down, it's been like having the best energy drink ever. Hey, any chance you've got more?" I watch my fellow scientists' expressions shift from academic fascination to something closer to existential dread. "No," I say firmly. "No more Nexus 9. "Oh, come on, Doc. Think of the research potential. We could revolutionize medicine with this stuff." And there it is. The most terrifying thing about humans, not just their ability to survive what should kill them, but their immediate impulse to weaponize it for their benefit, to turn certain death into a tool for advancement. I make a new entry in my research log. Warning to future xenobiologists. When studying humans, remember, what doesn't kill them doesn't just make them stronger. It gets added to their arsenal. The only thing more dangerous than a human facing a lethal threat is a human who has survived it. Through the glass, Tom has moved on to trying to teach himself to juggle with medical supplies, completely unbothered by the fact that he's rewriting our understanding of biology. Just another day for a human. Just another apocalypse survived. Another lethal threat turned into an advantage. Some species run from death, others try to avoid it. Humans? They treat it like a sparring partner. The breakthrough comes during the third day of observation, as I'm reviewing Earth's geological data for the 1,000th time. The numbers suddenly click together like a quantum lock finding its key. "By the void," I whisper, causing nearby scientists to cluster around my display. "We've been looking at this all wrong. Earth isn't just a death world, it's a chemical warfare training simulator." Dr. Velkath peers at my calculations. "What do you mean?" "Look at their planet's history. Volcanic eruptions pumping sulfur dioxide into the air. Oxygen, literal poison to early life, becoming their primary breathing gas. Plants flooding the environment with toxic compounds, animals developing venom, bacteria and viruses constantly evolving new ways to kill. And the humans?" Dr. Nazatul asks. "They ate it all." I wave my appendages in growing excitement. Those berries that would kill most species. Humans call them spices. Toxic fungi. Mushrooms, a delicacy. Even their pleasure substances, caffeine, capsaicin, alcohol, they're all poisons that humans consume for fun. Tom's voice crackles over the intercom. "Hey, are you guys talking about food? Because I could really go for some super hot wings right now." "You see?" I point at him frantically. "He's asking for capsaicin-laden food while his body is still processing the deadliest toxin in the galaxy. This isn't just adaptation, it's expectation." The research team gathers around as I pull up more data. Their entire evolutionary history is one long chemical arms race. Their bodies don't just fight toxins, they anticipate them, look for them, get stronger from them. "Sir," a junior researcher pipes up, "I've been analyzing their medical records. Humans routinely inject themselves with weakened pathogens." "Vaccines," I nod. "They deliberately expose themselves to diseases to build immunity. Who does that? What kind of species looks at a deadly virus and thinks, 'Yes, I should put some of that in my body on purpose'?" Through the window, Tom continues his casual exercises, his body now practically glowing with enhanced cellular activity. The Nexus 9 isn't just failing to kill him. It's being consumed, broken down, repurposed. "The implications for galactic society," Dr. Palnar's voice trails off, "are staggering," I finish. "Every poison we've developed, every toxic weapon in our arsenals, they're all potentially just human supplements. Their bodies treat molecular disruption like a puzzle to solve, not a threat to flee from." Dr. Velkath pulls up the latest scan results. The human cellular structure has completely adapted to the Nexus 9. His immune system has catalogued it, learned to counter it, and is now using its properties to enhance his natural healing. "It's like watching evolution in fast forward." "No," I correct her. "It's like watching a species that evolved to expect the impossible. Earth didn't just make humans strong, it made them adaptable. It taught them to treat every poison as a potential tool, every toxin as a possible advantage." The implications ripple through the room like a shock wave. Our most potent weapons, our deadliest toxins, to humans they might as well be training exercises. Their bodies are literal chemical warfare processes, turning death into advantage with casual efficiency. "Update the council report," I tell my staff. "Classification update for humans. Their biological resistance to toxins isn't just a defense mechanism, it's a core feature. They don't just survive poison, they process it, learn from it, repurpose it." "Like turning a sword into a plowshare," Tom adds helpfully through the intercom. "Except in this case, it's more like turning your most deadly poison into what feels like a really good cup of coffee. Speaking of which..." "Still no coffee," I say automatically, though at this point I'm not sure the caffeine would even register in his enhanced system. "But Tom, I have to ask, how common is this kind of toxin resistance among humans?" He shrugs. "Pretty standard, I guess. My grandma used to drink small doses of arsenic to build up immunity. Called it the old country way. Mum always said she was a bit extra about it." The entire research team stares in silent horror. I make a final note in the report. "Warning. Any species considering chemical warfare against humans should be advised. You're not just fighting their current biology, You're fighting millions of years of their planet trying and failing to kill them. And they've learned from every attempt. One standard cycle after the Cooper incident, I sit in my office, finalizing the most unusual research report of my career. The Council has been in an uproar since our preliminary findings, demanding verification, then re-verification, then asking if we were absolutely sure we hadn't made a horrible mistake. Recording final observations, I tell the station's AI. The galactic classification system has undergone its first major revision in 10,000 cycles. Humans have been placed in their own category, Class X. The X stands for xenohazard, according to official documentation. Unofficially, it stands for exactly what were we thinking trying to classify them at all? I pause to check the latest update from Earth. Tom Cooper has become something of a celebrity there. Apparently, his new enhanced healing abilities have sparked a research boom in human medical technology. They're calling it adaptive cellular therapy. The humans have already patented 47 new medical procedures based on the Nexus 9 incident. They're treating previously incurable conditions by teaching patients' cells to rebuild themselves. Of course they are. Leave it to humans to turn our deadliest weapon into a revolutionary healing technique. A notification pops up on my screen, another message from Tom. He's leading a new research team now, studying what he calls biochemical enhancement through controlled exposure. The Council nearly had a collective seizure when they read his proposal. But here's the real kicker, I continue recording. Remember how we thought the Nexus 9 incident was a fluke? A 1 in a million human with unique resistance? Well, I pull up the latest test results. After the incident, we ran discrete scans on every human in the station. The results were illuminating. Turns out, Tom Cooper wasn't special. He was just the first human to show us what they're all capable of. Every human we've scanned shows the same adaptive potential. They're not just surviving their death world, they're carrying its lessons in their DNA. The station's AI interrupts with another update. Dr. Krental, the human research team, has submitted their first progress report on Project Phoenix. Display, I sigh, already knowing it's going to give me a headache. The holographic display shows human scientists experimenting with controlled exposure to various toxins, studying their body's adaptive responses. They're not just accepting their ability to survive poison, they're trying to optimize it. Final notes for the record, I say, watching the humans casually handle substances that would dissolve most species. We thought we were studying humanity's limits. Instead, we discovered they don't really have any. They're not just adapted to survive, they're adapted to adapt. A message flashes across my screen. The Council has officially classified my full report as need-to-know level information. Too dangerous to share with the general public. I snort at their naivety. Too late for that, I mutter. The humans are already publishing their findings in what they call peer-reviewed journals, open access. Because of course they share information about becoming stronger and harder to kill, why wouldn't they? But the real revelation, the one that keeps my primary heart racing during sleep cycles, came from a casual comment Tom made before leaving the station. You know what's really cool, Doc? He had said, packing up his research materials. All this adapting and surviving stuff, that's just our baseline. Wait until you see what happens when we really try. I make one final entry in the report. Recommendation to the Council. When dealing with humans, remember this. What we consider impossible, they consider a starting point. What we see as a lethal hazard, they see as a growth opportunity. And most importantly, the station's AI interrupts again. Dr. Krental, new data incoming from Earth. Humans have successfully synthesized an improved version of Nexus 9. They're calling it Genesis compound. Initial tests show it can regrow lost limbs. I stare at the screen, mandibles clicking in resigned amusement. They didn't just survive our ultimate poison. They improved it, made it better, stronger, more useful. End report, I tell the AI. Final addendum. The most terrifying thing about humans isn't that they survived our worst weapons. It's that they're probably disappointed we didn't have anything more challenging to throw at them. Through my office window, I watch a human maintenance worker casually repair a radiation leak. She's whistling. Of course she is.